All right, Shalom. This is continue on the lesson that I was just in. This is Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse 15. Bear with me. Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse 15. It reads, "Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with his four faces." Right, so Ezekiel is seeing the angels in the chariots, just to break it down and get into simple form for you. He's seeing the angel, which are, terrible creatures to look upon, all right? But he's seeing the angels in their vehicles that they're moving in, which they're attached in a line with the spirit of the angels. So this is Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse 15. "And as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with his four faces." Right, so the angels are terrible. They have four faces. The appearance of the wheels in their work was like unto the color of a beryl, and they four had one likeness. Again, Ezekiel 1 and 16. The appearance of the wheels, the chariots, in their work was like unto the color of a beryl, and they four had one likeness in their appearance, and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. It says, when they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. You see? So the chariots don't have to, or the so-called UFOs, which are the chariots, all right, or clouds of 𝤉𤄄𝐤𝐿, the chariots of Israel, they don't have to turn. They're not bound to, gravity and, what we are. These are spiritual vehicles. Real quick, let me grab that. The 𝤉𝐄𝐿, Isaiah chapter 30. Isaiah chapter 31 and verse 3. "Now the Egyptians are men and not the Most High Yahweh, and their horses flesh and not spirit. When the Lord shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoping shall fall down, and they all shall fall together." Right, so the Egyptians, the modern day, so-called Edomites, in which, your horses, which are some symbolization of power. The military might, your different fighter jets, your tanks. That is fleshly. That is carnal. The bullets and the different rockets. That is fleshly. The chariots, they are spiritual vehicles. That's why they're not bound to gravity, Newton's law, physics, all that madness that we are bound to as humans. All right, and Edom doesn't see past the carnal of what he can explain, in which the Lord is not bound to what we can explain or what we can fathom. This is why these vehicles are able to perform these different maneuvers and things of that sort, because these are spiritual things. These are angels. These are our heavenly hosts. These are the powers of eternity's forces, man. They're not going to be able to explain and to pinpoint what's going on, man. All right, so Ezekiel 1, again, in verse 17, it says, "When they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes round about them four. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them." Let's read that again. Ooh, that's too fast, man. Hey, come on now. Them not no drones. Them are the chariots of 𝤉𝐄𝐿. Ezekiel 1. Let's read that again. Ezekiel 1 and 19. "And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them." Let's play this. Bam. Right. Ezekiel 1 and 19 again. "And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go. And the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels." Ezekiel 1 and 21. "When those went, these went. All right. It says, and when those stood still, and when those stood, these stood. Again, okay, one more time. Ezekiel 1:21. When those went, these went. So the spirit of the living creatures, the angels, those what the angels are moving in the chariots. Ezekiel 1:21. And when these stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. You see? And that's what it is, man. All right, this is the book of Acts. Let's get a few more precepts and we'll close it down. You see, so, hey, it's a beautiful and terrible thing, these chairs, man. A beautiful thing for us, Lord willing, of that elect number, and a terrible thing for you other heathen nations, man. All right? This is Acts chapter 1 and verse 9. I get right to the point. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up in a cloud. He was taken up in a cloud, received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven, as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, in which those were the angels. But our Lord Yahweh was taken up in the cloud, out of their sight. You see? This is Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 29. It reads, immediately, I'll get 27. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, Matthew 24 and 27. For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Matthew 24 and 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Matthew 24 and 31. And what is the Son of Man, Yahweh Mashiach, going to do with those chariots in the clouds with power and great glory? Matthew 24 and 31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So, you know, this is what the chariots are going to be doing. You see? And what are you heathen going to be doing when this is taking place? This is Wisdom of Solomon 5 in verse 2. It says, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. And they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision, and a proverb of reproach. And right, that's what the heathen are going to be saying when they see the glorious salvation of the elect. The elect of the nation of Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, started with 144,000 prophets, 12,000 each tribe. They're going to be delivered where they are upon the earth, which we just read in Matthew 24. They're going to go up in chariots and be changed. 1 Corinthians 15, in the twinkling of an eye. And the heathen are going to behold this, and they're going to be anguishing in their spirit. You see, so Lord, when this lesson was edifying and comforting, all praise and glory goes into Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, rachaaw, qadash. Dumb honors into our apostles, elders, great millstone. Peace and blessings unto the elect of the nation of Israel, men, women, and children. Shalom.